Brides profit from Bachelorette shock. So, about 6 months ago, the bride planned her destination Bachelorette trip and charged each of the 11 girls $650 for the Airbnb. I was salty about the high cost, but it's my SIL, so I sucked it up and paid her. I also was suspicious about the high AF price, so I did cross-check the Airbnb listing and it checked out. Yes, this B wanted a $2,300/night beachfront house. Well, today I'm chatting about wedding stuff with my brother, who is marrying future SL, and he said something along the lines of, "What a relief her dad paid for the Airbnb, because that would have been so expensive for your group." I about choked. I said, "Hey, are you sure about that? Because all 11 girls paid $650 for the house alone? Maybe run it by her?" His face turned purple, so I take it he had no idea. To add to the greed going on here, when I got married, I flew her out, paid for her accommodations, paid hair and makeup, paid for her bridesmaid dress, and paid transportation because she was going through a hard time. Now she has the balls to steal from me? I get that weddings are expensive, but don't have one if it requires stealing from your BMs. I'm assuming I'm the only BM who is aware of what's going on here. Not sure if I should spill to the group or just let it go. There's a chance her dad stepped in and paid for it after the fact, and she just chose not to refund us. I'm not clear on the exact situation and want to avoid embarrassing my brother. Update 1. This is what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to talk to my brother and give him a chance to clear it up with Esil. Before I make a scene, I want to understand what's really going on. For example, did Daddy pay for the trip, but Sil decided to put that towards a different wedding expense? Things like that. That answer will determine how I tell the rest of the BMs. I'm going to give my brother only 2 days because this trip is literally next week. Update 2. Alright, so I regrouped with my brother. My mum also stepped in, bypassed my brother, and got some more info directly from her dad. Here's the tea. Future Sil's dad did not offer to cover the cost until a few months after we all paid for the trip. This was after he found out the cost, and was pissed that she chose a $2,300/night house, and asked us to pay. Apparently, he threatened not to pay for the wedding if she added more expenses onto the wedding party. Turns out she originally wanted it at the Maldives, and he forbid her. According to my mom, who chatted with him directly, he felt embarrassed when he heard about the Airbnb price and wanted to save face with my side of the family. So he gave SIL about $7K to cover the cost of the house. She was supposed to refund us, but obviously that never happened. This is where it gets good. So my mom went total FBI and learned that in addition to not paying us, Sil didn't put the money towards a different wedding expense either. She doesn't have it. So where did it go? What did she spend it on? There is currently a full-blown investigation going down between our two families RN. I have been asked by my mom not to alert the BMs just yet until we get the last bits of info and come to a resolution with both Sil and her dad. But we will tell them ASAP, one way or another. Update 3. The plot thickens. So as this drama is all unfolding, the maid of honor, who doesn't know what's going on yet, is continuing her duties. We all get a 4-paragraph text from her outlining the dress code for each night of the Bachelorette, per the bride's orders. Keep in mind the bride is asking us all to go out and buy new outfits for each night of the trip, and the themes are wild. Animal print Thursday, faux fur Friday, sparkle dress Saturday, and Barbie brunch Sunday. As if we're all going to go out and buy that *T 1 week before the trip, or at all. Thankfully, the BMs seem to be waking up to the BS. Several of them wrote back saying they won't be able to pull together those outfits in time, and one flat out said it's just not going to happen. But that's just a side story to the absolute *T show that is unfolding. My mom is very involved now as she's paid a decent chunk of this wedding as well, and does not like that the bride is throwing around thousands of dollars from her dad, as well as lying to the bridal party. She set up a meeting directly with SIL to cut the BS and explain what's going on. She told CL she's going to inform the BMs herself, unless she gets a valid answer. Update 4. A swan ice sculpture. She used the $7K to book a swan-shaped ice sculpture to be displayed at the reception, and didn't tell anyone. Turns out, her dad banned her from adding any more extras to the wedding design, because it was already so expensive and unnecessary. When he Venmo'd her for the Airbnb, she thought she was being sneaky and kept it instead. She didn't even tell my brother this. He only found out that her dad decided to cover the Airbnb because those two went out for cigars one night and it came up. So that mystery is solved thanks to my mini FBI crew. But now, the real questions remain. Where TF is my $650 and how to break the news to the BMs? Out of the kindness of her soul, my mom is giving Sil 24 HRs to confess to the bridesmaids and figure out how to pay us back our money. Because you know what? I did not spend $650 on some damn ice. I have kids to feed. I have bills to pay. It is taking everything in me not to text the BM group right now, but my mom is trying to give Seal one opportunity to do the right thing. Update 5 as promised here is the latest tea, served boiling hot. This is a long update and I'm going to try and get everything in. First, let's start with the bride's explanation to her family. Myself, my mom, my brother, her fiancé, and her dad. She broke down crying, saying that wedding planning has been getting to her head and she has been crushed under the pressure to have the perfect wedding, which she felt couldn't go on without this alleged ice swan. I didn't buy her sob story. After this whole incident, I think she is a delusional, controlling, attention-starving bridezilla who is using the wedding as a way to compete with other girls on Instagram. BTW, her job is influencer, if I didn't mention that yet. My brother took the bait. To be honest, I don't even blame him. This is his future wife, and he said he wants to help her with her mental health and get her back to a good place. He is disturbed by the situation, but will continue to support her. The wedding is on, for those who were curious. Next, let's get into the matter of the missing $7K and whether we're getting our money back. The sad, gut-wrenching answer, probably not. Her dad said he has already paid the Airbnb cost once, and he will not do it again. He said his daughter is 31 and needs to get herself out of her own mess and figure out how to make it right. She chimed in that the $7K is gone and asked how she would possibly pay us back. My brother refused to pay for her screw-up. While I love that everyone is finally forcing this bee to be an adult, I would like my money back more. Unfortunately, we're not going to get it unless she magically wins the lottery or gets a real job. For those that asked, there is nothing we can do legally. We all willingly paid a fixed amount, and we would have to move mountains and spend more to sue. Plus, while she was incredibly shady and a terrible friend, she technically didn't do anything wrong that we could prove. Now, onto the bridesmaids. After some threats from my mom, Seal finally broke down and contacted the BMs in our group chat. She sent a text that made my skin crawl. Hey ladies, you're my bride squad, so I feel compelled to share that my dad recently offered to pay for our back accommodations. However, being that the wedding is so expensive, I have decided to put his donation towards a wedding expense. I hope you all understand, and I can't wait to party with you all next week. Oh, hell no. I immediately replied back, making sure everyone knew the expense was an ice sculpture. An ice swan. Come on, people. Many of them replied and expressed how they would have loved to use that $650 for something more important. But ultimately, no one has backed out. One of the girls started a side chat without the bride and asked if there is any chance of getting our $dollar back if we force SIL to cancel the reservation. Unfortunately, since we're only a week out, we aren't eligible for a refund. They decided to go through with the BAC, or else it would be a literal waste of $650. As for myself, I'm in the same boat. I would rather run myself over than go on this trip. But $650 is not a small amount, and I can't fathom just throwing it down the drain. I haven't made my final decision yet. If I do go, it will solely be to avoid eating the $650 plus my airfare. I will not be doing any of the planned events or outfits, or contributing even $1 more. I would have my own mini vacation as best I can. Mini update 5.5. The side text without the bride popped off, and we have all agreed to do the following. We will be going on the trip, but it is no longer a bachelorette trip. We will all be taking personal vacations with our hubbies, significant others while staying at the property. We were forced into this beachfront mansion plus airfare, so we're going to make the most of it. We have all backed out of hosting and paying for the bridal shower. The bride will need to find another way to move forward if she wants to have it. We will attend as guests if she has it, and we will not be gifting anything. Mother of the bride is absolutely furious. More on this later. We're letting the bride know she needs to cancel the Ice Swan trademark and give us our money back. After some more research, we doubt all of the $7K went towards the alleged swan because it doesn't seem like they cost that much. Final update. Let me start with this. There is no ice swan. There never was an ice swan. It was all an elaborate fabrication designed to distract everyone from where the missing $7K actually went. R.I.P. Ice Swan. Turns out there was a reason behind SIL's luxury bachelorette location. Here's what happened. All the bridesmaids show up to the beachfront mansion with our significant others. SEL had already been made aware that it was no longer a bachelorette, but to our complete shock, she was still stunned that we actually meant it. She arrived last in her pre-booked limo, absolutely fuming that no one else showed up to the limo meeting spot at the airport. She was the only one still sticking to the original itinerary. Then she was flabbergasted that the husbands, SOs, were with us. It was a comedy show at best. Anyway, we went about our individual mini vacations, and eventually someone realized it had been about 48 HRs since anyone had seen SEL. I assumed she was mad and either flew home or went to stay somewhere else. Then the unthinkable unfolds. SEL rolls up the driveway in a wheelchair, being pushed by 2 female nurses. The entire group jumped into action, thinking something horrible happened. Everyone ran over to see what was going on, but the nurses ushered us away and wheeled SEL into her room. At this point, I'm actually very concerned. We're all banging on her door, asking if she's okay. The nurses eventually leave and say they legally can't reveal the nature of her health issue, but assure us she's fine. I call my brother and mom, but get no answer, so I finally decide to call her mom, aka the mother of the bride, who was furious that we took over the bachelorette party. Mom reveals what actually took place. She isn't sick, she didn't have a health issue, there was no accident she got her boobs done. She had planned, as part of the original itinerary, to disappear for an afternoon and return with a set of new melons. I'm sorry. What? The location of the beachfront mansion is conveniently 5 mins away from a very famous cosmetic surgeon's office. The reason she needed this giant-ass property was not really to host 11 girls. It was to host 11 girls, plus the surgery recovery nurses and personal chef she had reserved for after the operation. There is so much more that we need to unpack. I honestly don't know where to begin. What was her mother's knowledge, involvement in all this? What was the cost of the procedure? Guessing around $7K? And why was it meant to be part of the BAC? What was the purpose of the Ice Swan lie? WTF? Will the bridesmaids, myself included, pursue legal action? Where does this leave my brother? Is this lady okay mentally? Was this a horribly misplaced cry for attention? Was it an FU to the bridesmaids somehow? So many questions remain.